Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. That was very poor. Let's try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And welcome to this wonderful Ika ritual. Of course, it's the Monday morning wake-up call. I tell you what, we're excited. My name is Tina Altieri, and I'm delighted to be your MC for a very special occasion because, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to wake up in a very different world. My fellow Ika delegates, are you ready? Yes, good. Of course you are. And to reward you this morning, I'm going to give you something very special. Something that no other MC at any conference has ever given to you anywhere in the world. I'm going to give you permission to activate your most important instrument to use over the next 4 days, and use well, even after we bid you Salamat Tinggal from beautiful Borneo. So what is that most important instrument? What is the one thing that scientists have been poring over recently to explain its power? This instrument that can truly open windows for all of us. It's the instrument that really does stretch us, and yet we barely unleash its full potential. We hardly even touch the sides of it. We take it completely for granted. The most underdeveloped, undercared for, under-respected instrument we own. What is it? The brain? Yes, yes. If you're thinking the brain, you're wrong. Sorry to tell you. I'm talking, ladies and gentlemen, about the power. That is the power of the voice. Now, I wonder how many of you were walking through this door over the last 20 minutes and asking yourself, is my voice ready for this? Is my voice ready for this? In a few moments, ladies and gentlemen, I'll introduce you to 3 fantastic speakers, each with their own unique song, which they have made memorable. Audience over the world hear these 3 speakers, and those audiences never forget their messages. They never forget their song. And the reason I'm telling you this is because, you know what? We all have a song. We all have in us a soundtrack, an anthem. Think about it. Every single important event in your life, every great holiday, every memorable occasion, every brilliant conference that you have ever been involved in comes with your unique soundtrack. A song that sticks with you, that's pressed the right buttons with you at the right time in your life. So much so that even so, years later, you hear the song on the radio and you just can't help singing or humming to it because it transports you back there. It was your song at the time and you owned it. But that's if you activated your voice, of course. You know, so many of us never even open our minds to the power of the voice, the power of the song. It's really interesting. You know what? I don't think back on my special events, my special moments, my special professional moments even, and remember things like the restaurants I walked into, the museums I visited, or the hotels I stayed at. I remember just about every single holiday or special professional moment by my personal soundtrack at the time. Are you with me? Let me just give you an idea. Okay, so let me think. Right, my first skiing holiday, 1995, Mount Buller, Victoria, Australia. This is taking a bit of a leap of faith. I'm glad you're here from Victoria. Here we go. A whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no or where to go. Let me share this whole new world with you. Oh, thank you. I wasn't expecting that. And then the other one that really has stuck with me, my very first Ika Congress. Wow, how on earth could I ever forget? 2009, Florence, my first ever Ika Congress, where I met the most amazing Ika team. And this was the song that was definitely my soundtrack. It was playing at the gala as I walked in. Are you ready? You might need to help me out with this. Why do you fill me up, buttercup baby, just to let me down? And then they turn around, and then worst of all, you never said, baby, won't you say you will? But I love you still, I mean you, more than anyone, darling. You know that I have from the start. So fill me up, buttercup, don't break my heart. And it still stays with me to this day, let me tell you. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, we all have a song. I want you to find somebody next to you, somebody who's perhaps a little bit near and dear to you. That's okay. Turn to somebody next to you. And I want you to tell them your most memorable soundtrack. I want you to name the song. It's really important. Name the song. Where does it take you to? What's the experience that you link to that song? The time and the place. Tell your partner what happened. What is your song? Turn to your partner. You have 90 seconds to tell them your song. Let's begin. 90 seconds. Ah, there's a lot of laughter in the room. A lot of you are traveling back, and some to very different places. Some great experiences to share. Well done. Let's have you back here, ladies and gentlemen. Well done. So you know what? It is so true. Everyone has a song and everyone has a soundtrack. So this is the thing. Are you ready? This is the thing. I'll cut to the chase. Music and singing is in our genes. The urge to sing and to hear others sing is innate. It's in all of us. Our minds and bodies are actually genetically hardwired for producing and listening to singing noises. Yet there's this wide belief that only a few people can really sing. You hear people saying it all the time. Oh, no, I don't sing, I'm tone deaf. And so singing for so many people becomes this neglected behavior, unless, of course, you happen to be a singer. And at some time in our lives, many of us really stop singing. Okay, maybe a little bit in the shower, but we become so self-conscious about it. But here is the thing. If we know that scientifically singing changes your brain by releasing hormones into the bloodstream, if we know that singing gives you a molecular massage, in other words, shakes, vibrates, resonates your very core, promoting detoxification, if we know that singing helps to calm negative chatter, those distracting, unhelpful thoughts, and if we know that singing prepares your brain for learning to absorb information, wouldn't you want to activate this instrument just a little more often? And I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't the ICA Congress be the perfect opportunity for you to activate the voice? Yes? This is the cue where you all say, yes, Tina. 1, 2, 3. Let me try that again. And so if we could, wouldn't you want to use this ICA Congress as a perfect place to activate your voice? Ah, you are right on cue. I tell you what, you are good. So you know what? You're right. You're right. I'm listening to you this morning. Let's use the instrument. Let's get your voices warmed up. If we know it activates the brain, 3 songs over 3 generations of music to prepare you for our very first awesome Monday morning wake-up presenter. Now, we don't want you to sing like you're disconnected, because that doesn't really put the brain to good use. Here's where you put the passion and the power of your unique voice to the words. I've got the words on the screen for you. You ready for this? This is Singing with Passion to Activate the Brain, a first song to get everybody warmed up, and it's a song you would know. Here we go. Here we go. You all know it. Come on, give it your best shot, Ika. Here we go. Sunny days, sweeping the clouds away. Open your mouths. Air is sweet. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Oh, nice. You know it well. Very, very well. This is good. This is good. Now, okay, this one is particularly for the gents. It's only a small portion, but we know this song, this is very interesting. Scientists have identified that this particular next song gets the male testosterone going and gets the brain working best for men than any other song of this era. Are you ready? Okay, come on. Gentlemen. City gonna set my soul, I'm gonna set my soul on fire. Come on, boys. Honey, I'm ready to burn, hit those stakes up high. Yeah. Big build up. Here we go. Viva Las Vegas. Gentlemen, did they do well, girls? Yes, yes. And here is the song that women always excel. It is #1 on the playlist of karaoke, and it is why so many people feel so good and learn so much afterwards. Girls, are you ready? Woo! Here we go. Mama. At Waterloo, Napoleon did surrender. Oh yeah, and I have met my destiny in quite a similar way. The history book on the shelf is always repeating itself. Waterloo, I was defeated, you are the one. Waterloo, promise to love me forevermore. Couldn't escape if I wanted to. Waterloo, knowing my fate is to be with you. Oh, 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 Waterloo, finally facing my Waterloo. All right, you are good girls. You are good. Woo! Where are you, Martin? We're teaching the Ika world to sing, aren't we? Absolutely wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, our very first speaker this morning couldn't imagine any experience without a beat, a song of the wild, a musical call from above. Nahi Bidwa is the face of New Zealand, and he travels the world sharing messages from his Maori culture, opening the door to reveal modern-day solutions from ancient wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, Nahi Bidwa.
The gathering of the Ika global tribes. If you were to come to my Māori tribe in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and stay in my Māori village for an evening, the first song that you would hear in the morning would be the song of the native birds, which would be followed by the song of one of our elders welcoming us all to the new day. This morning, I would like to bring a piece of my Māori tribe to you here in Sarawak, Malaysia. Hara mai ki runga, hara mai ki raro. Hara mai ki te taha maui, hara mai ki te taha matu. Hara mai ki mua, hara mai ki muri. Hara mai ki uta, hara mai ki tai. Uri noa ki a koe te wairua tapu koutou ko ngāna hera pai. Nau mai, hara mai, whakatau mai. Kia koutou ngā tāngata whenua te rohi nei, tēnā koutou. Kia koutou katoa, kua tae mai i tēnei rā hou. Ngā mihi nui aka nei kia koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Ngā Hihi o Te Rā, which means the rays of the sun. And I am privileged and honoured to be here with the Ika Global Tribe from Aotearoa, New Zealand, which is the first country in the world to see the sun each day. I honour the local people, and I thank you for being here with us all today as we celebrate the excellence of Ika. Just in case you were wondering what I was saying in my native language, you'll be pleased to know it can be translated into two words. Salamat pagi. For those of us Aussies, do we have any Aussies here? Any of our Aussie neighbours here? Okay, I've got a greeting for you guys as well. G'day, mate. It's really good to be here. As I said earlier, my name is Ngā Hihi o Te Rā. My surname is Bidwa. And I'm told Bidwa is French, and that means handsome. But wait, there's more. Highly intelligent, and I keep forgetting this one actually, Tina. Oh, that's right. Humble. And I haven't met a Bidwa yet who disagrees with me. It's a real honour to be here with you today. This afternoon I'll be doing a presentation, Ancient Wisdom, Modern Solutions for Leaders, and we'll be looking at different aspects of leadership from Proverbs to people and purpose. I'll also be using that time to tell you about my leadership journey with my tā moko, which is the traditional markings on my face. But for today, for this session, I'd like to take a small snippet of that. Our theme is the gathering of the Ika Global Tribes. And we have Kiwis, New Zealanders here. Can I ask all the Kiwis to please stand? As the Kiwis stand, I'm going to, thank you. As the Kiwis stand, I said Salamat Pagi, which means good morning. In New Zealand, we have a very famous saying which says kia ora. So can you please say after me, kia ora? Okay, now when you see any of the Kiwis that are still standing, yeah, we're pretty shy. When you see any of the Kiwis that are still standing, please feel free to say the following, kia ora Kiwi. So let's practice that. Yeah, let's practice that. Kia ora Kiwi. Awesome. Thanks, guys. You can now sit down. See, I'm aware, I've got a Master's in Education with Honours. I'm aware that there are three kinds of learners in this audience. One, visual. You learn best by what you see. So the pictures behind me are for you. Two, auditory. You learn best by what you hear. Third, though, is kinesthetic. And often people come to conferences and you get to watch PowerPoints, you get to listen to speakers, but you don't actually get to do much. So we're going to do something for the kinesthetic speakers, kinesthetic learners. Can I ask everyone to please stand? And then if you can please come up, I'd like you to now please say hongi. Let's try it one more time, hongi. So when you come to our Māori village, the day will start with one of our elders welcoming the day in. You will then be greeted by someone saying kia ora to you. The next thing that will happen is they will do a hongi. Now, Anna, I'd like to thank the Auckland City Convention Bureau for supporting me to be here today. If I'm really good, then thank Anna and the team from Auckland Convention Bureau. If I'm useless, then don't go near them, okay? It's okay. So we're going to demonstrate the hongi for you all today. So the hongi is the gentle pressing of your nose twice. And here's a couple of tips when you're doing this. Keep your eyes open. Okay, you don't want to dong them in the eye with your nose. And when you hongi them, feel free to say kia ora as well. So we'll demonstrate that one more time. Visual learners. Kia ora. Thank you, Hannah. Let's give Anna a round of applause. Thanks, Anna. Okay, your kinesthetic exercise. Before you sit, can you please stay where you are because we haven't got much time for this. Please hongi 2 people. Go. Can you come up stage? Okay, once you've done that, feel free to be seated. Sorry, what's your name? Mike. Okay, everyone, I'd like to introduce to you Mike. Let's give Mike a round of applause. Yeah. So I look for someone who I think has done a really good hongi and we can demonstrate it again. So once again, visual learners, we're going to do the hongi. Well done, Mike. Thank you. Right. Okay, before you sit, I've got a hongi prize for you, Mike. And my prizes are totally dependent on whatever hotel I'm staying in at the time. Right. Yeah, so from, I think it's the Pullman Hotel, Mike, here's a shower cap and makeup remover, yeah? So, yeah, good on you. Cheers. All the best. So what's the hongi about? Oh, if you come to New Zealand, please say after me, hangi. It's really important you don't get these 2 words mixed up, okay? Because hongi is where we greet you, and hangi is where we eat you. Okay, so what is the hongi about, and what is the leadership lesson in that? You were sitting in a nice, safe place, comfortable with your friends, before I disrupted you and got you to participate in an activity which you might not have felt comfortable with. However, we created a safe environment through the wonderful work of Tina for you to participate in this. You then return to your safe place. Hongi is all about engagement. Try leading without engagement. However, one of the things I've found as I work with leaders all around the world is that every leader needs a safe place. We need a safe place that we engage from. So you're sitting in your safe place, you chose to engage in the hongi before returning to your safe place. So here's a question for you to reflect on as leaders, and I believe everyone can lead. What are my safe places? Here's something for the visual learners to read. If we know our safe place, we are going to choose to engage, we're going to choose to have influence, and we are therefore going to lead. I would like to, speaking of leading, I would like to invite Amelia from the Sarawak Convention Bureau onto the stage, please. Thank you, Amelia. You look beautiful. Yeah. So, Amelia, it really is an honour and a privilege to be here in your beautiful country. And from one Indigenous group of people, the Māori people in New Zealand, to your Indigenous people this morning, I would like to present you with a couple of gifts. This gift comes from Te Puia in Rotorua, my hometown, which is known as the Institute of Māori Culture. And it is a gift for you. There are 3 aspects to this gift. One is about new beginnings, one is about strength, and the other is about the future. I'd also like to present you a copy of a book. Thank you for having us here. I'll honga you as well. Thank you, Amelia. I'll help you down, actually. Please give Amelia a round of applause. Thank you, Amelia. The theme this morning is about song. If you were to come to New Zealand, everyone would ask about a particular kind of song, which is what our All Blacks do, our famous national rugby team do, and which Māori people are often asked to do. If you were to come to my Māori village, you will see this particular song or Māori warriors dance being performed that is called, can I ask you guys, it's not moving. It is called the haka. And I would like to present a haka from my tribe to you as I close this morning, as a challenge to you to choose to engage during this Ika conference, to choose to move from your safe place into the engagement of what Ika has to offer during this conference. And so as I close, I thank you once, tēnā koutou. I thank you twice, tēnā koutou. I thank you 3 times, tēnā koutou katoa, for having me here and all of the other Kiwis from New Zealand as I present to you the haka. Kia rite, kia rite, kia mau, hei, ringo, fiua, o tarawa, tarawa, kodamaka, wareki, kodamaka, hareki. Thank you for having me here. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible, incredible moment, having the opportunity to listen and be part of that powerful spiritual song, the haka, and our wonderful, wonderful presenter in Ngāti Budwa. Would you please thank him once again? He'll be speaking at the breakout sessions throughout the Congress. Our second speaker this morning tells me she does not have a musical bone in her body, yet her lifelong work has been all about a corporate beat, a pattern, a business dance that we all do to that beat that we know as networking. And how do we behave in our modern and corporate association tribes? A different perspective now on the culture of networking. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Stevenson.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to talk about tribes. I'm an anthropologist, but I didn't start out that way. I'm an accidental anthropologist. I started out studying quantum chemistry, and perhaps I breathed in too much benzene and started to hallucinate, but what I saw in the laboratory were human beings interacting in repeatable patterns that I had seen in chemistry and in physics. It was so compelling that I had to drop my graduate studies and move everything over to the field of anthropology, where I became, in the early days, an archaeologist investigating the Temple of Doom in the Valley of the Kings. And that's what that slide is that you see above you. I'm in the middle. That's when I was a baby, when dinosaurs roamed the earth for free. And the man that's in the fedora standing next to me is Indiana Jones before the script for the movie was ever written or the movie made. I had many, many adventures as an anthropologist and as a global nomad, and I still do, but I'll share them with you later while we network. The reason I'm showing you these is because I had to investigate ancient trade networks. And those trade networks were a way that ancient peoples, past civilizations, long extinct, long having disappeared, the only thing that they left were the things that we could put together to retrace how they traded. Because trading with one another is a way of communicating. And so it took me to Egypt, to Mesoamerica, to the Kula Ring, to study the Kula Ring, to the Tigris and the Euphrates, to look at these ancient trade networks. And it brought me forward to this moment in time, if we fast forward a couple of decades, where I've earned my stripes with white hair. I'm talking about the networks in this image of the financial networks just prior to the financial debacle in 2007 and 2008. The company shall remain nameless. But I get called upon by governments to talk about these networks. And let me tell you something. The way you find financial fraud, the way you look for terrorism, is exactly what you do when you're looking for buried trade networks in ancient civilizations, in the Tigris and the Euphrates, or in the deserts or in the jungles. So that work, while exciting, though, I thought, we need to understand how we network. We know that other people know about networking, but how do you network? So while these slides have been about me, I want to show you the next slides, which is about you. This is an image of a network, a star pattern, and someone is in the center of it. It's called an egocentric network, and that's you. That's you here in the audience. If you had to draw your networks, they might look something like this. This is Bart. Meet Bart, a student of mine. He mapped these networks on LinkedIn, and you can do this too. But Bart is a young professional, like many of you in the audience. And you can see by the way that he mapped his networks that there are colored nodes that are colored circles, and they have different colors, and they are arrayed around Bart. And those different clusters of colored circles represent his student teams, his work teams, his community involvement, his extended family, and other meaningful relationships that he engages in as a young professional and as a person growing up in this world. That's an early stage career network. You'll notice that the clusters of different colored nodes do not interact very much with each other. That is very typical of somebody that's entering into a tribe or to a culture for the first time. Their networks will look a lot like that. And there may be some of you in the audience that are here for the first time, and if you were to map your networks, they would look something like this, the star pattern. If you become older, grayer in years, I don't see too many like that here in the audience, but I'm sure you're out there somewhere, then what you have are ways in which the clusters in your network will start to merge. Here's a colleague of mine. Her name is Judy. She's in the center of this mass of color. You will see there's an orange cluster and a blue cluster. She's a public speaker and she's a consultant, and those represent her networks, which over time, as she has introduced people, had lunch with them, gone out for drinks, said, hey, I think you might like to meet somebody. I know somebody in this other network that I'd like to have you come together with. And so eventually over time, these networks merge and overlap. Now, let me say that the purple cluster to the side is her extended family, and the green cluster is her church and community group. So they're somewhat separate. But a mid-stage career professional will have a network that looks something like this. When you are in your organization and your networks are starting to coalesce and merge, you need to be prepared for the fact that your own organizations don't really understand how you in particular network. They're organized with another set of principles. Most organizations are organized like hierarchies. That's the typical organization chart. And I just need you to know that in a hierarchy, one person does the work of one. And you can say, well, yes, but Dr. Stevenson, in my organization, we work in teams. You may. But in a team, you have certain rights and responsibilities and tasks, and they are assigned to you as a person. And with that, you share that with your team. So a fundamental reasoning behind these organizational structures that we all have to make our way in is that one person does the work of one. And that is part of the first of 3 laws of organization that we generally accept. The second one is what I'm here to talk to you about. In a network, 2 people do the work of 4. It's an exponential increase. And the reason for that is that trust is the great accelerator for the movement of information. If I trust you and you trust me, information moves quickly, seamlessly. So it's an accelerator for work. And you can work in organizations more effectively and more efficiently if you understand how to network, which I'm going to be watching you carefully as an anthropologist during your networking sessions. You'll just see me to the side. Now, the other thing that we experience in our organizations is something many of you hopefully have never experienced, and I can tell from the whispers that maybe you have, and that is bureaucracy. Because in bureaucracy, and I know a lot about this coming from the United States, 4 people do the work of 2. Or possibly it takes 4 people to do the work of 1, or maybe even 1/2, depending on how dysfunctional your bureaucracy is. And why we never want this to happen, I want to appoint and deputize all of you to be bureaucracy busters inside your organizations. Because bureaucracy is a cancer that will cannibalize an organization from within. We want to avoid that at all possible costs. But most of our organizations and most of our leaders in organizations recognize that hierarchy is a fundamental way of organizing. But if more and more leaders begin to bring the 2 of these structures together, both hierarchies and networks, then we can be even more effective. Now, the reason why we end up with bureaucracies is because 3 little people get together in a very special network. This is my inconvenient truth. Move over, Al Gore. There may be global warming, but I'm not here to talk about Al Gore. I'm talking about this inconvenient truth. All political intrigue arises from 3 little people connected in a trust network. 3 people. History books are filled with 3 people networks that have toppled empires. Let me explain. I could go through history, but instead what I want to do is use an example that is probably near and dear to all of us. Let's imagine that you are that happy face at the top of that 3-person network. To your left is your wife or your husband who you love dearly. And to your right is your wife's or your husband's mother. This is what we call the mother-in-law network. Now, lest you think I'm sexist, I'm here to say that as your anthropologist, yes, Virginia, I have traveled all around the world as a global nomad, looking at all kinds of tribes, large and small, trying to find if there was ever an exception to the mother-in-law, and there is not. We all have mother-in-laws. I am a mother-in-law, and there will always be mother-in-law jokes. It is a burden I must bear. So, when you all have positive relationships, everything's happy. Everything is good. And that's why you see the little positive signs that are on those lines. They're showing you that all the relationships are positive. I'm sure this never happens to anyone here, but occasionally you might disagree or come into conflict with your husband or your wife. And when you do, faster than the speed of light, probably the speed of trust, that relationship with your mother-in-law also goes sour. Because the mother-in-law heard about it from her child. Then she comes after you and says, wait a minute, you're not treating my daughter or my son into the manner in which they become accustomed. What's wrong with you? Can't you understand that what you need to do? And so suddenly you find yourself squeezed between your loved one and your loved one's mother. This is a very uncomfortable position to be in. Most of us know this indirectly, but now let me make explicit this indirect notion. You can have a direct relationship with your husband or wife. You can have a direct relationship with your mother-in-law. What you cannot have a direct relationship with is their relationship. You can only have influence over that relationship. It is an indirect connection, and influence is the only card that you can play. And that, my friends, is why political intrigue arises out of just three little people when they're locked inside a network. Now, clearly, all of us are locked in much larger networks, but we can't see them. But I can tell you some axiomatic phrases, some phrases that we use all the time that talk about this. A friend of a friend is a friend. That's a three-person network. A friend of a friend is a friend. That's all positively signed. An enemy of a friend is my enemy because I'm going to defend my friend. So an enemy of a friend is an enemy. An enemy of an enemy, well, could be my friend. You never know. You never know. So if you want to know where in the history books, pick up any history book, and you can read about this kind of palace intrigue. I can refer you specifically to pages 90 to 121 in Machiavelli's story, The Prince, his book, The Prince, about the story of Caesar Borgia, but I drone on. History is filled with these examples. What I want you to be aware of is that they happen all the time around you. So, there are three laws of networks. This is what I call the network light three laws. We're going to talk a little bit more deeply about it in the afternoon. But remember the old phrases, it's not what you know, it's who you know? Well, that's not quite true. You do have to know something. So, but even if you know something, it's really not all about that. The next one is, okay, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, not quite. Not that either. Because who you know isn't fully all about it. Because remember the mother-in-law triangle. It's not who you know, it's who they know. The friend of a friend. The enemy of a friend. It's really how the who that you think you know, wait for it, this is complicated logic for the morning. It's how the who you think you know is connected in a network. So when you go out in your networking sessions this afternoon, I want you to be able to think about some of these structures. Remember, this is you. This is how we think of ourselves when we think of our networks. And were we to map our networks on LinkedIn, this would be us. But this, my friends, is where we live. This is a sea of connection that's mapped out on LinkedIn. Your tiny little star diagram is in there somewhere. Now, if you ask a fish, hey, how's the temperature? The fish will tell you, what temperature. And if you ask the fish, well, how's the water? What's the water feel like? And the fish will say, what water? Because the fish is one with the water and lives with the water. We are one with networks. We've done it. Networks are primordial. Completely primordial. They go back to our very, very beginnings. It's time that we understood them a little bit better. So when you are out there networking in your sessions, I want you to think about deconstructing your networks and thinking about that three-person network. Now, Tina rightfully said I don't have a musical bone in my body, but I will tell you about the song of networks. It's the hum of human conversation, like a babbling brook, and I hope I hear more of that today. Thank you very much.
Karen, thank you so very, very much. We will enjoy Karen's talks throughout the Congress and also, of course, featured in the CEO Deep Dive. We look forward to networking with you, Karen, over the next few days. Before our next speaker, it is a prerequisite at the Monday morning wake-up call that you meet somebody new. So, would you please cast your eyes around in the vicinity, and I need you to meet somebody new right now. Connect with them and stay next to them. Okay, let's go. 5 seconds, meet someone new that you have never met before. Okay. Great. That's good. Stay standing. That's okay. Sit next to each other. One new person. One new person. Okay, you've done well. I want you to stay with that new person. Stay next to your new friend. Okay, here we go. Now, you know where this is going, don't you? You sort of know where this is going, right, Grant? We're going to find the courage. We are going to find the courage this morning, ladies and gentlemen, to dig deep. Are you ready for this? Shh, that's it. Let's bring the house down because you will raise the roof in just a moment. Shh. We are going to dig extra deep this morning ahead of a monumental lineup of sessions and learning at ICA 2016. Possibly this will be the most mind-activating exercise you will do in all of the Congress and the most terrifying. But that's okay. Come with me on this one. Now, we talked about the physical and mental benefits of singing. Well, it turns out, it's very interesting. It turns out that you don't actually need to be a good singer to reap the rewards. Are you glad about that? Yes, we're glad about that, which is interesting because you're just about to sing to your new partner. But hang on a minute. Before you get into it, hang on a minute. Let me show you this study. Look at this. Group singing can produce satisfying therapeutic sensations even when the sound produced by a person is of mediocre or poor quality. Okay, that's all right. So that gives you the license. In a minute, you will firstly apologize to your partner if you think you are a bad singer. You can apologize. Then I need you to choose your song. And I need you to sing 20 seconds of the song that you connect with, that you enjoy. The feelings that it brings to you. How do you give the song that only you treatment? Now that's an idea for a song too. If you're struggling, there's always the personal favorite. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday. Or, should old acquaintance be forgot? Yeah? I mean, there are German Papa songs, and there are millions of songs. So there's a huge plethora of songs, one that connects with you. We need you to sing your heart out, to activate your brain. Turn to your partner. Apologize if you need to, but only if you need to. And let's begin. Partner number one, let's begin the song. Okay. Oh, you are good, partner one. Give yourselves a round of applause. Weren't they great? Wow. What I can't believe is how many people actually do the movements as well. That is good. You are good. Okay, partner number two, are you ready? 20 seconds of your song starts now. Oh, that's fantastic. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. I tell you what, talk about activating your brain. Well done. Would you please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen? Thank your partner for some beautiful singing, being serenaded this morning. How absolutely wonderful. That was good. Our next speaker sings very often about perception and how perceptions play very, very strong and strange tricks on us in a business and corporate world. Our final messenger this morning, ladies and gentlemen, Vin Jiang.
Brilliant. Thank you for the applause. I haven't done anything yet, but thanks for clapping. So before I begin, I always like to get a bit of a feel for the room. If you know who I am and exactly what I do, please do raise your hands, just so I can... Ouch! Wow, okay, that crushes my soul. So let me give you a little bit of context on who I am, so you get a bit of context. So I'll share with you 3 things, plus an interesting story. The 3 things about me, simply to give it in a nutshell, is I'm a speaker, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a magician. And the interesting story, I guess, I would like to share with you how I met my wife. And I remember this one beautiful evening, we were in a bar, I know, how cheesy. Beautiful Malaysian girl, and I saw her, and I walked up to her with my packet of cards ready. And I remember this is exactly what I said to her. I said, hello, very scared, obviously. Would you be impressed, though, if I could change this King of Hearts into the Queen of Hearts like yourself? I know it's disgusting, I know. I'm vomiting in the back of my throat, I know. Don't clap. It's disgusting. And I kid you not, when I said, would you be impressed if I transformed this king into a queen? She looks at me as if she smelt a fart. And she's like, what? And this is exactly what she says. She says, I would be more impressed if you transformed yourself into a real man and had a conversation with me. Boom! Right? I was so in love, it wasn't even funny. But this morning is all about you, this morning is not about me. And I'd love to begin by sharing with you a piece of magic that magicians used to use in the early 1900s to begin their shows. And on that note, I need to bring up 5 people, and let's all just agree on one thing. If you look away, I can still see you. So I'm going to go down to pick 5 people, so please don't resist, don't freak out, otherwise it makes it awkward for you. Number 1, thank you. Number 1, if you could jump on stage. Number 2, where are you? Don't laugh, you're number 2. Thank you. Number 2, yes, 2. And because you're the friend laughing, you're 3 as well. 3, you get the gist, 3. And number 4, thank you, good. 4 and 5, people think they sit in the back and they get away with it and they can just dull away. Not true. Number 5, good. Is that 5 people? Good, big round of applause for all of them. Join me on stage, good. Good. Thank you very much. And, if I could just have it in order, so it's girl, boy, girl. Otherwise it freaks me out. And thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you. It's just got to be in, look at that height thing. It's fantastic. Good. So, the game thing we're going to play, this is what magicians used to do in the early 1900s, okay? So it's simple, but it's complex at the same time. So I've got a packet of cards, and the 5 of you have a very important task. You need to remember one of the cards in a moment, but packet of cards, all of them are different. Simple game. I'll put the rubber bands around the cards so you don't drop them, okay? But in a moment, I want you to hold them very close to your chest. Okay, and all you're going to do is you're going to lift the cards up, look at one card, the first card you see is the first card you remember. Okay, please don't forget the card, remember the card. So if you could, and don't look at each other's cards as well. So if you could do this for me as well, Annie, don't look at the card, look at one quickly as you can, remember it, lock it into your mind, pass it to the next person, and look at it as well. Again, really quickly, look at one, pass it to the next person, say it to yourself over and over and over again. Remember the color, the suit, the value, don't forget it, because if you forget the card, the trick would be shit. So very important, please remember it, and have you got that as well? Good. Did anybody think of the 10 of spades by any chance? No? You did, okay, that's too easy. Can you just do it one more time and just get a different one, please? Good, quick as you can. And get one, and good, and please remember it, don't forget it. The simple game is called Truth or Lie. So in a moment I'm going to ask the 5 of you questions about your card. You can tell the truth or a lie. Right now you all have a card locked in mind. None of us, including myself in the audience, know what the card is. So I'm going to have to detect your lies. We do certain things when we lie. Hands in the pockets are slightly dishonest. Something to hide, as we would say. And good, let's begin with that. And he's still going to lie, so that's very good. So the first question for you is, Denny, it's okay, I can hold this, it's okay. Into the mic, was it red or black, the card?
Black.
Good. Red or black?
Black.
Red or black?
Black.
Good. You're good at this. It'll be scary to be in a relationship with her, though. Was it red or black?
Black.
Red or black?
Red.
Good, thank you. Red or black?
Black.
Was it odd or even? Slightly confused means it was probably a picture card. And the smile confirms that it was, so we don't know what picture cards are. They're odd or even. Was yours a red or black? What was it again?
Black.
Good, because it's honest, because it's hard to remember lies. And was yours odd or even? Okay, good. It's another picture card as well, so that's good. Thank you. And my question now, and the smile fully confirms that as well, and I think I know what yours is. Thank you. So here's the thing. Be honest, sometimes lie, have fun with it. Was yours a 5, yes or no?
No.
Truth. Normally when we lie, our shoulders rise. We don't even realize why, but it does. And we also can't control our eyebrows. Was yours a 9, yes or no?
No.
Truth as well. Everyone's scared to lie, obviously, because a sincere pose. But again, was yours a 3?
No.
Truth. Oh, everyone's scared to lie. So we'll do it this way. Everyone's telling the truth so far. I think I know what they are. I'm going to name the cards from ace through to king. And if your card was a 6, which none of them are, because if it was, they'll be like, oh my God, how does he know? So it's good. I'm just working it out as I go. But you see, what's fascinating is, if it's 6, the closer I get to 6, you do something to give it away with your face. You look slightly constipated. So resist this, resist the constipation as you look at the audience to create more pressure. Do not look at me, look at the audience. Much more scary. And I'll read the cards from ace to the king. Do not look at me, look at the audience. Lock your gaze on the thousands of people in the room judging you. Good, so here we go. Watch them closely as I watch them too. Ace. It's very kind of you. Thank you. It's, please don't do that. It just takes the challenge out of it somewhat. So you're very kind. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 8, 9, 10. Jack, Queen, King. Good. I'm going to name 5 cards. Please do not react. Again, red or black? Black. Good. I'm going to name 5 cards. Please do not react if you hear your card. 2 of hearts, 7 of clubs, Jack of clubs, Queen of diamonds, Ace of spades. If I named your card, walk back to your seat now. Don't lie. Big round of applause for them. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Thank you. We have to ask ourselves one thing. What makes magic magical? What makes magic amazing? What? 2 things. 2 things. The first thing is what magicians call showmanship. And the second thing is an element of risk. And I'm sharing this with you because as a magician, I'm in the business of creating experiences. As professional meeting organizers, you are also in the experience of in the profession of creating experiences. And you see, what's fascinating is the 2 things that magicians need to create a great experience, I believe, is the same thing you need to. So the first thing is showmanship. Let's talk about that. So you see, how many times do you think I've performed this piece of magic? How many times do you think? 3,500 times easily. Okay? And my next question to follow that is, was it boring? Thank you very much. If you said yes, totally would have ruined the point. But you see, what's fascinating is I've done it 3,500 times in my life, and you didn't find it boring. This is the one concept that the great magicians have to understand, and it's what separates the great magicians from the average magicians. Great magicians understand, and I've been taught by them. They said to me, Vin, even though you've performed this trick 3,500 times, it's the first time your audience has ever experienced it from you. This is the concept and philosophy of showmanship. I believe the same applies to you. The greatest meeting organizers in the world, even though they've done the conferences hundreds of times, in this room collectively thousands of times, every time you put on a conference though, the great ones, they treat it as if it's their first time. They bring the enthusiasm, they bring the passion as if it's their first time. This is the fundamental difference that separates the great from the average. The second thing is an element of risk. And what I mean by this is 52 cards, 5 people on stage. There's plenty of room for things to go wrong. And there's nothing worse than crap magic. And you see, there's plenty of risk. The greater the risk in magic, the greater the experience. The greater the risk on stage, the greater the reward. And you see, this is what I find fascinating. If I go on stage every single year, of every single month, every single day, I perform the exact same thing with no risk whatsoever, and I do the exact same thing with an expected outcome that I know is going to work every single time, what happens to me as a performer? I get bored. And I can promise you one thing, if I get bored, so will you. As meeting professionals, if you every single year follow the exact same formula, do the exact same thing, no risk involved, an expected experience, and you do the same thing, what happens to you year after year, month after month, day after day? You're human too, you will get bored. And the moment you do, so do your audience. My friends, if there's one thing in the world of performance we learn, it is that whatever we feel as the performer on stage, our audience feels tenfold. Great experiences, dare I say magical experiences, they live at the edge of our potential. Right on the edge of our potential. They don't live within the realms of our comfort, they live at the edge of our potential. If you never risk going too far, how do you ever discover how far you can actually go? You know, as a speaker, I've been super blessed to be able to travel the world and speak. And what I've realized is that no matter what industry I speak to, the same thing happens when a company, an industry is asked to innovate, is asked to do something different. Every time we're asked to do something different and to innovate, what do? What do we naturally do? Gut instinct. We look to what our competitors are doing. And the moment we look to what they're doing, if we do what they're doing, we're not being innovative. All we're doing is we're moving towards industry norms. That's all that we're doing. To be an innovator, to do something completely different that has never been done before, to walk down a path that has never been walked down before, to create an experience that has never been created before, that is a path filled with uncertainty. And I understand now that it's until we are completely comfortable with that uncertainty, we forever have to settle for mediocrity. Two things, showmanship and an element of risk. And I'd love to inspire you, hopefully, with a poem I found recently. And I'd love to read this poem to you. I thought it was extremely relevant, so I wrote it down. And I'd like all of you to please close your eyes. I think you'll find this to be quite a nice poem. And please reflect on your life, professionally and personally, as you listen to this poem. Please, I can still see you. Please do close your eyes. And please, I mean this. Let this touch your heart, because it's something that really touched mine. Here we go. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out to others is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your ideas, your dreams before a crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. But risks must be taken, because the greatest risk of all in life is to risk nothing at all. Thank you.
Vin, thank you so very, very much. How wonderful. And thank you for sharing those magical insights. And indeed, you can catch Vin during the breakout sessions throughout the Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in welcoming centre stage once again our very inspiring Monday morning wake-up callers. Let me bring them out for the Swan Song. Nahi Bedwa, Karen Stevenson and Vin Jiang. Woo! Absolutely wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. You know, here's what the three of them and myself really want you to do. This is our message to you. We want you to take the information that's relevant to you from ICA 2016. We want you to connect with the content and with each other. We want you to deconstruct what you've learned and allow your views to be challenged. Ladies and gentlemen, our wish to you is that you will grow from the key learnings. And whatever you do, enjoy the process. Claim it as your own and make it your sound of the Congress, and sing it often and put it on your playlist. Let the soundtrack play, not just to the beat of the drum here in magnificent Sarawak, but keep the beat when you're back at the workplace and share it with others, no matter where in the world you are. That way, what you learn from ICA 2016, just like your favourite song or a much-loved soundtrack, will stay with you for many, many years to come. ICA Congress 2016, you are officially woken this Monday morning. Have a great day.